Welcome to the Writing Gals. We're four sweet romance authors staying up late. And tonight we're going to be talking about social media and what it is and why it's important and what you should focus on as an author on social media. But before we do that, we want to update on what everybody's doing and new books that are out. So I'm going to pass it over to Judy.
Okay. Sorry, it took me a bit to get unmuted. So right now I am working on the release of my first clean adult romance called The Billionaire Bachelor. I just published it on Saturday night, and I'm just starting to announce it right now. I'll announce it on Facebook tomorrow and then continue with that soft launch. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing. It's been crazy and fun, and glad it's pretty much done. Oh, what are you working on, Michelle?
I am on the last few paragraphs of my next billionaire story, and it's heading into the editing stages tomorrow. In fact, I'll probably finish it as soon as we get off this podcast. So that's really exciting. And I've been having some good times watching the first two books in the series not moving. They're holding their rank. So the first book is holding around 4,500 and the second book is holding around 2,500. And so I'm really excited about that because I'm releasing this third book so soon that I'm hoping that means I'll have some good numbers coming in May with the whole series. So I'm excited about that. And today I just published another chapter in the Regency House Party. And if you haven't checked that out and you like historical stuff, it's all free. So you should go to regencyhouseparty.com and read all of our stories. It's a lot of fun. And just let me see. I think we only have 6 more chapters left before the end of the story, and then we'll be publishing it as novellas. So that'll be probably my first Regency publication, and that'll be coming up probably the end of this summer, beginning of fall. That's what I've got going on. Oh, and my mermaid fantasy book is slotted for my next big time progress. I've done a cover release to my newsletter only, but it's super awesome, and I'll be putting more of that out later. Figuring out a whole new genre. Crazy! Amy, what do you got?
Well, I'm in the midst of figuring out a new genre and trying to get that. I mean, you really kind of find a niche for yourself when you start a pen name. So I just re-released my YA book. So if you like urban fantasy and purchase urban fantasy, please go purchase it. If you don't, wait a little bit till my also bots kick in, and then you will, and then I won't get super messed up. But so that is I'm relaunching that book. So I'm kind of watching it slowly climb in rank. It's not as fast as the adult romances on my Anne Marie Meyer. So it's kind of nerve-wracking, but I'm just gonna see what it does. And so that's going up, and then I'm just about to finish my second book in my fake marriage series, Marry an Athlete, that will be released in May. And then I'm going to work on the third book of my YA series, and that's going to be called Healer, and it's a fairy tale retelling, so it'll be a Beauty and the Beast paranormal romance. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Fantastic.
I'm ready to work on something different than just the angst of relationships and romance. I'm excited to throw some magic and all that other kind of stuff into the stories to kind of spice it up, because you get a little bored writing it over and over and over again. I'll be the first to admit it.
Well, that's a for love book, you got to throw some of those in there to feed your soul, right? All right. So Amy, would you update us a little bit on how your sales numbers are doing and what you've been doing to pump those up?
Well, sure. I think it's important to kind of check in with all of our viewers and kind of tell you where we're at, what we're doing, and how we're being successful. And so, Marrying a Cowboy was put out. I can't hold on. Let me look. I put that book out in March 12th. So it has gone its 30-day cliff with Amazon. That book got the highest in rank that I've ever been able to get. I was at 250. Oh, yeah. 215 in the store is where I got to on that book. And then after I was at 215, I dropped it down to 299 because we talk a lot about, do you keep it at 99 cents and keep the visibility? Do you drop it down to 290 or you drop it up to 299 and you're going to lose, those people who will like, oh, well, it's 99 cents. I'll take a chance on that book. I don't know that author. And I think so I ended up changing it because I was like, this is not going to be my only book that I ever hit that rank with. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but I'll try and drop it or raise it to 90 or 299 and see what happens. Right now, my what's that? Today is the 25th, so a month and 13 days later, I'm holding rank pretty close around the 2,000 mark. It's kind of going up and down a little bit. So far, all time, that book has made me 5,200 since I released it, which is pretty good. I think all my page reads finally came in with that book. So then very quickly after I published that book, I wrote and released a novella. And that one was at 37,000 words, kind of a play off of the cowboy trope. I wanted to beta test to see what was it that exactly got my rank as high as it did. Was it the cowboy or was it the marrying a trope? And so I wrote Fighting Love for the Cowboy. And right now it's the highest of rank I got with that one. I also didn't have, I think the stars just aligned for Marrying a Cowboy in terms of my release and how it all worked out. It was just this beautiful, like, I don't know. Everybody was willing to share my book with their newsletter, and it just built up to this amazing thing as well. But the highest I got on that book was $7.95 in the store, and it's hanging out about the 1,000 number in rank. All time, I have made with that book $528 so far. So it's slowly going up there. I think changing my book to $2.99 helped get me that increase in amount. I've sold 1,483 books and had almost 1 million pages read on that. So obviously making my bulk of my money in pages read. So Fighting Love for the Cowboy, people are very positive about the novella. Then I haven't had anyone complain negatively about it being shorter. I've had people say, "Oh, I wish it was longer because I really want to get more immersed with the characters," but not where they're like, "I felt gypped that it wasn't longer than it was supposed to." And then the only other thing that I've been doing that I try to do once a month now is scheduling a free promo. And so this month, it was one of my billionaire books, the fourth one, Falling for the Billionaire. And that one I actually had the most I've ever given away, which was 9,311 books. So it was a pretty decent. I only got to number 20 in the free store. So I think it was just a bigger free day or something because I've gotten down to 12 in the free store, but not have given away as many. So, and that helped boost all of my numbers, which was nice. I ended up going on to have my biggest sales day. So you always have a really, really big sales day after your free day. It's probably where you're going to make your money back for what you put into it. And I it was a $550 day is what I had after that one. So that was really nice and sad to see go away because I'm like, oh, no, stay. But what it did was boost all my billionaire books. I was kind of slipping about the 15 to 20,000 range and rank, and now they're all back up again. Some are falling, but it's kind of funny. You kind of see people work their way through your books because they'll be down, and then in the next couple of days it'll go back up, and then it'll be down, and then the next books will go down and be up. So kind of circle. So if you don't have any new releases on your books coming out, the free days are really helped to boost you. And so I'm on my way to have probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, my best month this month. We'll see at the end of the month where I end up. So that's kind of where my numbers are. So this is just proof that releasing your books and then making sure you're wisely promoting them, which is what we'll talk about in social media and what we use, is what's going to help keep your books visible because they will slip down. Even the most well-to-market book will slip down.
Just for fun, can you tell us how much you made last month?
How much I made last month?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you. I made $6,788 last month. And this month so far, I've made $6,000 and $6,002. So I'm hoping it'll keep going at the rate I'm going up. So
Fantastic. Well, I'm holding steady at 5,000 a month, 5,500, somewhere around there. So, but I haven't put anything fiction-wise out new, and I'm working on, something for next month, but that's kind of where I'm at. Does anybody else want to talk numbers for a minute?
I am projecting that I will make about $4,500 this month, which is my second biggest month, and I'm really excited about that. Yay!
Fantastic.
well, and I think what's amazing with Victorine is that that's her like she can depend as long as she's keeping her free days and she's boosting, like having that base number is a good thing because that's something you can depend on.
Yes, exactly. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and dive right into the topic of social media. And the first thing I want to talk about is, as an author, how important is social media to you and how do you use it? And I'm just going to go ahead and answer this first because I am the moderator tonight and I can do that if I want to. So to me, social media is pretty important. However, I don't use it very much to sell books. What I do is I interact with other authors on social media. And for me, that has been immensely very productive for me because I can connect with other authors who are selling in my genre. And then I can trade newsletter swaps with them and we can boost each other's sales by helping each other with what we're doing. And so for me, that's how I use social media. I don't really use it a lot for interacting with readers because I have found for the most part, people do not find new authors by going out on social media and meeting them. People generally, if you walk down the street and say, how did you find your favorite author? They're going to say, well, I checked out a book from the library, or my friend loaned me a book, or I saw it free and I picked it up and I just read it and I loved it. And that's how they find their authors, is through their books. And so I use my books to gain new readers, not my social media. And so that's my answer to the first question. So I'll let you guys talk about your social media, how you use it, and how you feel it's important to you.
I have been doing a lot because I also do a smaller kind of clothing-based company off the side, and Facebook is a major one, basically where I sell most of it. And I was doing research on online parties that you can do. And the lady was like, people do not go onto Facebook to purchase things. They want to be informed, entertained, or to connect. And so I think if you're wanting to use a social media platform to gain readers or to reach readers, you need to be doing one of those three things. Going on and saying, buy my book. I have done Facebook posts where I say, can you share my book? Share this. I have a Scream team. I ask them to share when my book releases, and I very rarely get a lot of sales from that. For me, I get more sales off of just a Facebook ad, but that's because I'm being very intentional with whom I'm targeting. And there's always that chance that somebody, everyone says, oh yeah, people who, your friend says they liked it, so they'll buy it. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that on Facebook, that they will do that, because there's so many, and Facebook controls how many people see what. So I think with me, for Facebook and sales, Facebook ads are the way to actually get sales off of Facebook. not so much with that. And I agree with Victorine. For me, I use Facebook as a connection to other authors, and then not so much my readers, because I think for me, readers are going to be, I'm going to be finding them through my books. And so, is that what you wanted us to say? Okay.
You're following Victorine's script. No, I'm just joking. That's what it sounded like. So no, I think with me when I first started writing 10 years ago, something like that, I start where everybody is, where I'm trying just desperately to find anybody to buy my book. And so I did tell my Facebook friends all the time, oh, I've got a sale going on and da 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 da. And to a certain degree, I'm not ever going to completely stop, because I have a lot of friends and relatives that do like to see when I've got a new book out. But I've noticed as I've gone on, I put out something about my books much more seldom. And I think that I'm learning the ways that I connect with readers, but it's never to sell to readers, if that makes sense. I use social media to deepen my connection with people who already read my books. And I think that establishes, them as stronger fans, people who are more likely to stay with me throughout my career because they like who I am as an author, and they like that personal interaction, which is why I'm more fond of Pinterest than I am of Facebook and Twitter. Twitter especially. I don't do a ton on Twitter, but I do use it. I think Twitter really works, again, with if you have a lot of strong connections with other authors who can broaden your reach on Twitter to their readers. And so if you do have connections with other authors, tag them, whatever, and people will share your stuff. And that's really how social media becomes effective. So trying to build up huge lists of Facebook followers, we all know doesn't work, because Facebook doesn't let us interact with them anymore. We all know that having huge following lists on Twitter can only go so far for sales. I don't think it gets you very many. And I don't think Instagram gets you very many sales. I mean, if we're just talking about selling with social media, I agree. There's very little that social media can do as far as finding readers, but it can do a lot for whether or not readers can interact with you if they want to find you. So I do have people that find me on my Facebook author page, and they find me on Pinterest, and they find me in all these different places because they're looking, and that's the kind of relationship that you want to be available for. But you also, and I think looking at it that way helps you to manage the time that you spend on it, which I know we're going to talk about later. But that's my 2 cents too. I, at this point, definitely have to agree with what the other ladies are saying.
Yeah, I agree too. I do get on and like share my new releases with my friends, and then also on my author page, and I'll ask my Scream team and then other just people if they want to share it to do it. And then I post in maybe a couple of like groups that have readers that are looking for books in that genre. But that's pretty much the only time I really share my books. I'm not like on there every week saying buy my book, because I've seen other authors do that, and it just gets annoying. So yeah, just you don't want to be annoying to people. Yeah, maybe talk about the book once, and then if there's a sale going on, a while later, do that again. But you don't want people to unfollow you because that's all you talk about. So yeah,
exactly. It's like the person at the party who all they talk about is trying to sell you something. It's like, no, you're at a party. Stop it. So we answered the next question perfectly. Do you see social media as a way to get new readers or connect with people who are already fans? And Michelle answered that perfectly. Yeah, I see it as a way to connect to people who are already fans. And I do also use it for new releases, like Judy was saying. That's about it. So the next question is, who uses Facebook groups for readers/fans, and how do you get interaction from them? And Judy, you have a pretty good answer for this because you have a good group going. So do you want to answer that?
Yeah. So as lots of us have discovered, our author pages do not get the visibility that we would like them to with Facebook. They just don't share it a lot of the times. And so I had heard like a year ago or so about authors who are creating like these groups. So like groups for their fans to join, and then the fans would be notified of the things that they're posting more often. And so I created it's called Judy Corey's Reader Squad, and or you could call it, fans of whatever your name is. Just I did Reader Squad because I was writing. I write young adults, so that sounded more fun. But what I'll do a little screen share just to kind of show you what I've done in case that's something you want to do, and it has been pretty successful, I guess. Like my readers seem to enjoy it. I don't know if it's like selling any books, but they're feeling more. I think they like being a part of the process a little bit. And so this is my group. I just have my little picture that I have up there. And then I will mostly I'll share cover reveals in there if I'm excited about it. And then before I did this, I had posted to I'm a very indecisive person. And so I like to ask for lots of input on lots of things. And so I had shared a bunch of photos that I was thinking about using for a cover and then letting them vote on it. And I ended up deleting that because I picked a different picture all at once. I didn't want them to feel like they weren't helpful. So that's not here, so I can't show you that. So that's what I chose. But then I have, I announced when I'm, exciting things going on so they know something is coming. And then also, let me see what this is. I'll say what fun little things that I've written that day. And then they're showing an idea I had for a cover. And then I also have asked for input on titles for my books and just doing a poll and letting them vote for it, which they seem to like. I'm just announcing just all these things, showing them I got my paperback because that was exciting. And then basically just kind of keeping them updated on what's going on with my books, asking for character names, and letting them help me name them. And just, I don't know, just all kinds of things. Oh, and there I got a notification. So yeah, basically just sharing lots of things with them, and they seem to enjoy it, but it's definitely not a way to get new fans because they wouldn't even know to come here. But I do share this with my newsletter, and I've gotten a few people to join. So not a super huge following yet, but it's been fun, and it helps me feel like I have people to talk to about these things that I'm having a good time with. So
Perfect.
instead of annoying all my Facebook friends.
That's fantastic. So does anybody else use Facebook groups?
I do use a Facebook group for my Scream team, but I wanted to talk about our Regency House Party Facebook group. So I'm going to try and screen share that, see if I can manage it. I don't know that I can. You guys will have to just kind of pardon me for a second while I do this. So I think that can you guys see my screen now? Yes, you're nodding at me? Okay, cool. Because I couldn't see. Okay, so this is our Regency House Party page. And this is where 5 of us got together. And this is content marketing is what this is. So we're not getting all the people on here and saying, hey, buy our books all the time. What we're doing is we're giving them actual reading material. We're giving them chapters and stories and engaging them. And the hope is that we are inviting them to enjoy what we do and follow us as we put out work like full-length works that we publish. And so as you'll see on here, we have a chapter that posts live twice and sometimes 3 times a week. So today I told you I post one of my chapters posted, and we get a lot of interaction from our fans. It's direct, chapter by chapter. They'll go on and they'll read what we do. We hype up the chapters that are coming, and we have contests sometimes. But what's really interesting to me about this, we actually have 367 members now, and those are all people that are new to me, that I wouldn't otherwise have. So I think that is a way that you can use Facebook when you give them something and a reason to be there and invite them to say, hey, this is my writing. You get it for free. And if you like it, then, here are my other books that you can buy. So it's just a really friendly way to build relationships while at the same time presenting, like the whole thing with marketing is not to give them a sales pitch, right? It's to give them something that they want, like just present something to them they want to have in a way that is not confrontational. And so that when you're on Facebook, like even in your groups that you have for your scream teams or your reader squads or whatever, people like the kind of post where you are engaging them and you're saying, this is what I'm doing today, this is the fun chapter I'm writing. People like that kind of interaction rather than, you can buy my book for 99 cents today. And so it's all about how you are interacting and not just where. And I think that that's what a lot of people have to learn, is the way that they can just be themselves and invite people in. So, but I'm really excited. I don't know the numbers on our Regency House Party as far as how well it's going to help us to actually sell our books down the road, because it's a new experiment that we're doing. But that is for the future. And since we'd like to come on here and do updates, I'll look forward to kind of sharing. But it's a way for me to build a platform in a category that I so far do not have a following. And it just costs me writing a chapter every couple weeks or so.
Fantastic. Thank you, Michelle. That reminds me of what Nathan Lowell did when he started putting out his book as chapters as on a podcast, actually. And that's how he got a huge following. So that's exactly what you're doing, is putting something out there free for people to get a taste of what your writing is. And hopefully that'll translate to sales. So we'll be interested to hear how that goes in the upcoming months. Amy, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, I don't do as much posting as I should. I probably should do more. I'm gonna get a personal assistant, which I'm super excited about, and that's gonna be one of her tasks. Is I'll send her the information and she'll go post it on. It'll be from me. It'll be my words, but having somebody else be the one who actually goes on and posts it'll be nice. But one thing that I did when I was writing my YA books is, after I would finish a chapter or a scene, I'd like to get pictures off of Google that had to do with that, and then post on my thing, say, I wrote a chapter today and here's some pictures that had to do with what I did. Does it excite you? And I got a lot of response back from that. So even if it's just like, you don't even have to post the whole chapter, you can just post some pictures and to excite your readers, or have them be like, what the heck, how is that in the story? So they kind of, when they read it later on, they go, oh, okay, yeah, I see where that was from.
Perfect. All right, so the next question I have is, if you have a limited amount of time, and there's so many different social media outlets, and my cat wants to be on this YouTube channel. She is bothering me. She was sitting on my question. So you have a limited amount of time and there's all these outlets. What will give you the most bang for your minute? So when you have to get on and do some social media, what do you spend your time doing?
I choose Facebook. I think I've heard different authors talk about how there's been research done, and most readers are on Facebook more than any of the other sites. So yeah, I definitely choose that over anything else.
For me, it's a question of what am I already doing that like one step further might do some marketing for me, right? So I'm gonna screen share again. I don't know if we're talking about Pinterest later. Are we talking about Pinterest later? I don't care. We're gonna look at it now. So this is my Pinterest page, and if you go on there, I have Pinterest boards for all of my books, and I have all of my personal stuff on here too. I mean, it's not a separate author account for me. This is what I use in my real life all the time, and I just happen to really like Pinterest. And so the way that this works for me is that, hold on, hi Judy, you're like big, aren't you? I can't quite figure out how to stop screen sharing. Okay, so the reason I like Pinterest is that since I'm already creating the boards as part of my process when I'm writing a book, it is no more effort for me to use that to engage my readers, right? So I wouldn't go onto Pinterest and spend hours and hours and hours creating lots of boards and then try to market and try and find people to go there and use that and click on the link and go buy my book. I just think that there's not enough traffic on Pinterest that are going to go buy your book. You might be able to get some that way. I just personally don't think it's worth the time investment to spend tons of extra time there. But I'm already there doing inspiration boards for my book. So why not share them with my readers to engage them further, to bring them further into my story world. And then while they're there, they can look at all my other projects that I've got going on and get excited about what's coming down the road. And it's the same thing. Try to use your time wisely. If I go on Instagram for like my personal things that I do, and I've ended up building a few reader followers on there. Instagram is cool because you click two buttons and whatever you put on Instagram, it shares to Twitter and to Facebook, right? So places where I can share multiple places at the same time, that is very efficient. And so it's a good use of time. And it doesn't take me very long to click, and then I'm on 3 different social media sites at one time. And then, I'd say, so what do you use personally anyway? What do you enjoy spending your time on? And that's what makes a big difference because, some people really like to market on Goodreads because they're already on Goodreads. They're a fan of Goodreads. And so if you're already there and you're already part of groups and you've already built relationships, that might work really great for you. For me, who I'm scared of Goodreads, that's not a good use of my time. And so I think that's what we all have to figure out because it's also where you're going to shine and where your personality is going to come out. If you're there because you're having fun, then it's going to be a lot more effective for you than if you're really insecure or you're dragging your heels or you're just there because you feel like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So there's my 2 cents.
Perfect. When I first wrote my book and published it, I did everything. I joined Twitter, I joined Pinterest, I joined every single thing out there. And then I went to a conference and one of the agents said, as regarding social media, she said, pick one and do it really well. Because if you are on all of them, there's no way you are doing really well on any one of them. So pick one, your favorite, and just do it really well. So that's kind of been my philosophy. So I spend most of my time on Facebook, although I have learned not to try to, try to sell books on there. For the most part, I'm on there to connect to other authors and watch what the successful authors are doing because I belong to a lot of author groups and I look at what the authors are doing, how they talk about how they're marketing their books and how they're selling so many books. And so that's what I use Facebook for the most part. Amy, did you want to say something?
Well, I don't know if we're going to talk, but for me, the best thing that I think that you could do, or that has been the most successful for me, is my newsletters. Are we going to talk about those?
No, but I think that might be a whole nother podcast, because there's so much to talk about newsletters. But yeah, you can touch on it if you want to.
Okay, because I would say the single most thing that has got me more readers and more people to buy my book is my newsletter. And I was going to say, you said if you had time to do anything, because for me, social media can be such a time suck. So I go on there to do one thing, and a half an hour later, I'm still watching cat videos. So if I was going to say, before you even do any of these things on social media, is write a reader magnet. That has been the single most thing that has got me the most engaged readers, people who will engage in my newsletter. I think ever since I wrote a 10,000 word reader magnet, and I put it in, and the key is to put them in all of your books. So I only had them in a couple of them. And then I was like, I need to put them in all of my books. So I went back and put in all of my books. And then year to date, I've had 577 people download, and it's a book funnel, so they have to put in their email address, but they know it has all the gobbledygook that comes with that information. And my newsletter is growing at an exponential rate. I think every time I check, I've got 10, 20, 15 more people coming. And obviously, you're going to see more boosts when you have free days, because more people getting. So for me, if you're going to do something, write a 10,000 word reader magnet, get it out there. And
And by
then
reader magnet, you mean just a short story?
just a short story. Yeah, I have it's a Swan Princess inspired novella, and it's very short. And I just took like a short story and expanded it a little bit longer. 10,000 words is all I put out there, and people have been signing up for my newsletter, and it's amazing. And not only that, when I go to send out newsletters, I try to be engaging. I try to talk to them. I think for me, I talk to my readers the most in my newsletters. I tell them what's going on, what I'm doing. I do cover reveals. I do blurb reveals. I'll give them the first couple chapters. I'll give them one chapter. I'm going to be releasing or getting my first audiobook done. So that'll go out to my readers in my newsletter, to the first 15 who respond back. I even ask questions in my newsletters. I get some people responding, maybe one or two people, and it makes me feel special that they actually respond back to me. I think I got the most reader engagement when I put a picture of my baby girl with Santa Claus on it, and I got so many people email me back, oh my gosh, she's so cute. So like readers want to engage, and I think a lot of people are still on doing emails. And then I also get some people who will join my author page through my newsletter. So if you give that as an option for your readers, the ones that are the hardcore fans will find you on Facebook. But to me, to get reader engagement and something that will result in sales at some point is going to be the newsletter. So spending that time making sure that's all set up first, and then going to social media, I think is going to be the best bet.
Fantastic advice. All right, our next question is, how often should you post to your social media outlets? Does anybody have any suggestions for that?
I'm not sure. Maybe as often as you have something interesting to say. I don't do mine super often, like maybe just a couple times a month on my like actual author page, and then about the same for my reader squad. So not super often.
Yeah, I don't spend a ton of time posting on my social media outlets. The thing that really hit me was when that survey came out. I think it was um, from the people that run Free Booksy. They did a survey on authors that made, $100,000 a year, and they asked them, how much time do you spend on social media versus how much time do you spend writing? And most of them spent a huge amount of time writing and this much time on social media. So if you're spending your time, talking on social media all day long, you are not getting books out, and the books are what is actually going to be making you money. And so, yeah, that's kind of my philosophy, although I'm a Facebook junkie, and so I should be writing way more than I am. I am on Facebook all the time.
Yeah, I've heard there's like a 80-20 rule, like do the writing 80% of the time and then 20% of the time spent marketing or on social media. So that would be the ideal thing to do. I definitely don't do that right now.
So this morning I had a really frustrating time because, as I mentioned earlier, I'm on the last chapter of my book and I really want to be writing it. But this morning I had to do all this like business kind of stuff and social media kind of stuff. And it was really kind of driving me crazy. Part of it was sending my newsletter out. Part of it was posting my Regency house party, which I have to say, those are all luckily effective things, So like with my Regency house party, it's content marketing, but I'm also creating something that I intend to publish down the road so that those words are going towards something that I'm going to sell someday. But if I was spending all that time making like, random posts that maybe 5 people would look at, that would be such a waste of time compared to actually, sitting down at my keyboard and getting the next book out. And I think that that is going to be the overall opinion of this podcast, is that you need to be writing. And so if it's like, it always comes back to, if it's something you're enjoying and you can keep it in check and not go down those rabbit holes, then go ahead and do it and interact with your readers. Because you also, if you do have fans somewhere and they like to hear from you, don't drop them. But it doesn't take a whole lot to, put a little post up really quick. And especially, like I said, if you can manage it so that you can post in multiple locations at the same time, just try to be as efficient as you can with social media.
And I think while we're talking, it kind of sounds like, we talk a lot about our sales and get the next book out so you can make money and make sales. And I think sometimes you can kind of be like, well, that just sounds like you just want these people for their money and that's it. And you can't think of it that way, because I think for me, the best words I can write are the words that I put in a book and the way I tell a story. And it's not my, 250 character Twitter that I give somebody. And you have to think of the percentage of people who are actually reaching out to you on social media versus the amount of people you're actually reaching your books. It's probably a very tiny percentage. And it's really only going to be those hardcore fans who will follow you into the darkness of wherever you go. So you kind of have to balance those two things, because yes, it's great to react or not react, to connect with your fans. But if you're spending so much time trying to find fans to connect with and not writing, then one, you're not going to be you're not going to be making as much money, which is what we all want to do. It's our profession that comes with money. But you're also not giving uplifting and wonderful stories for people who have stressful jobs. I mean, it's not going to be your email you send out that's going to make them feel happy or take them away and give them a fantasy type thing you're talking about. It's going to be your stories. So that as much as it sounds like, oh well, we're only finding readers so we can get money from them, well, no, that's not what we mean at all. But it's also trying to say, okay, how can I reach the most readers? And that is through writing consistently, is how you're going to meet or reach the most. So your first should be writing, second should be the marketing and social media aspect of it all.
Yeah, and then building on top of that, if you think of yourself as a reader, want to find a book to read, you don't go scroll through Facebook looking for something to read. You don't, oh, I'm going to go on Twitter and see what people are talking about reading. I mean, you go to Amazon or iBooks or wherever you prefer to shop for ebooks. You go that place, and on Amazon you look for genres that you like, and you might be able to look for authors that you remember. Hey, I like their last book, let's see if they have something else out. So that's, as an author, try and think like a reader. How do you find books? And also, when I read the reviews on Amazon from people that say things like, I really like this book, their next sentence is never, I wonder if she's on Twitter. their next sentence is, I'm going to go find what else she's got, or I can't wait till her next book comes out. Readers are looking for your next book. And if you're not writing the next book, then you're going to lose them. And so the best thing that you can do when someone reads your book and they like it is to have something else for them to pick up. And I think that that is the biggest marketing tool that you will ever have is the next book. And that's what we're all trying to say is figure out social media to a degree, but just stop stressing about it so much and stop feeling like it's this massive burden. And I think a lot of writers feel that way because it's scary and it's frustrating and you try things and they don't work. And then you've invested all this time that is gone. When you write a book and you invest the time in that, it's never gone. It's always there to make you money.
Perfectly said, Michelle. I love what you said. All right, our next question we probably have covered for the most part. How do you make Facebook work for you now that you have to pay to boost posts in order for them to be seen? And we've talked a lot about instead of doing an author page, go ahead and create a group and make it a fan group and invite your fans in to that group. You know, it's not, Facebook is not really about gathering new readers. It's about connecting with your fans that are already reading you.
And can I also say,
yeah, go ahead.
on your group pages, if you really want people to see it, two things are important. Number one, you do need to get people to engage with the post. The more people who comment or like on it, the more Facebook sees that it's something that people like. And so then they will show it to more people. You can also encourage the people in your group to change their notifications. So a lot of people don't understand that their notifications are preset to only get occasional posts from groups that they like. So you can actually invest a little bit of time, especially in your scream teams or people that are helping you promote your books, to get them to change their notifications so that they see all the posts on your Facebook group. And use events if it's something like an ARC download that they can get, or on a Facebook group for like a reader squad, if you've got a new release or a sale going on, then do an event because then Facebook does invite everybody to it.
Perfect. All right, so the next question is, when you boost a post on Facebook, what is your target audience? And I think that probably goes more towards Facebook ads. And we'll be talking about ads in another podcast, but we can touch on this a little bit. I know Amy's done a lot with target audiences and Facebook ads. Do you have any suggestions for who their target audience should be?
You kind of have to play around with it because it just depends on the type of book. For me, I have found people's preferences in terms of just generalized Kindle books that they like or ebooks that they like has done better for me than targeting specific authors. One, because Amazon does not allow you to target authors that are indie published yet. It will be nice when they finally allow us to do that. But and in the Clean and Wholesome, there's not a lot of traditionally published authors that have a big enough following that they'll actually target. So what I found is I just find like Kindle love stories or those types of things and then marketing to those. I also, since I have been told to narrow your audience down to Amazon or people who like the Kindle, but since anybody can download the Kindle app and read it, you don't have to have a Kindle to read it. You can just, and most people, I find most people read on their phone because that's the thing they have next to them at most times. It's not the e-readers. That I narrow it down to ebooks, people who also like ebooks instead of just Amazon. Because anybody, if they really want a book, they just download the app and they go. So that's what I would suggest, but always watching and trying to figure out um, how your ad is working for you. Or are you getting lots of clicks but not a lot of follow through? Those types of things are you want to pay attention to. In terms of boosting Facebook posts on your page, I would say the really only way to bypass paying for it is to get a lot of people to click or share on it, because then Amazon will start showing it to more and more people. So
Which gets
I would
tricky now
probably
that
just
they
not
don't
do
let
that.
you say share. So Facebook's new thing, they say if you put please share this, then they shut you down. So if you use words like share or buy or post or click or like or anything that's asking for engagement, Facebook is shutting it down. So you have to be
Interesting.
really kind of subliminal, like say it without saying it, or Facebook doesn't let it go out. And
We're
I
gonna
would,
come up with the writing gals lingo. So it says, please.
yeah, the code word for share my post. But I would say I don't think that I've heard. I don't know. Have you guys ever heard anyone find it effective to boost Facebook posts?
No,
I wouldn't mess with it. I would put your merchant or marketing dollars somewhere else.
I agree.
I do not think that boosting Facebook posts is going to be nearly as effective. If you want to do a Facebook ad. It'll be so much more effective for you, and you'll have a lot more control over who sees it, because I've heard that you, even when you boost a post, that you don't get nearly the control over who sees it and how effective it is as you do with the ads.
I agree 100%. All right, our next question is about pen names. Can you post on social media using your pen name without it connecting to your real name? And is it better to connect to your real name? So there's some questions out there about how to use a pen name, how do you keep those separate, and is it a good idea to keep them completely separate?
So for me, my pen name is Judy Corey. Surprise! That's not my real. My real name is Judy, but Corey is my maiden name. So I decided, like last summer, that I wanted to kind of keep my personal life private. I have, 4 little kids, and I just want to keep them safe in case I somehow get these amazing super fans that want to stalk me or kidnap my children. I don't know. So I decided that I would just change it to Judy Corey everywhere, and warn my friends like everything is fine between me and my husband. This is what I'm doing. I'm not like in case because some people were wondering. So yeah. So I just changed everything to Judy Corey because I was having friends like share some of my writing things with their friends and then tagging me, and it had my real name, and I just didn't want any of that getting mixed in with it. So I just decided to just change everything and tell my friends what was going on, and that's just what I use now for everything, and it's been fine. So it's worked for me really well.
For me, if you have two different if you share something from your author page and then let's say somebody else shares it and you go to comment like thank you, it will show up as your author name. It will not show up as your personal one. So like to create a shareable link for people to do, you have to go to your author page, create a post there, and then take the timestamped URL. And that's what you share to other groups where you say, hey, can you share this with your friends? But apparently we can't say that anymore because Facebook will shut you down. So say however it is that you want to say it. Um, and then you include the link. And then let's say somebody shares it and you see that they did and you go, oh, thanks for doing that. It will show up as as your author name and not your personal name. But I have 2 pen names and I don't worry so much about people knowing. I am realizing though that it's very important when it comes to your also bot. So if you write in very different genres, you will probably want to keep that separate just because if one like my adult romances are much better sellers than my YA. And I noticed over time, even though I was adding it to the back of my book saying, hey, if you like this, you might like my YA, my also bots were changing to my adult books and the adult books that people were buying and not the fantasy retelling, that type of group that I wanted to be in. So now I'm realizing that there really can't be if they're different genres, you really don't want that crossover between your author information. So it's probably best just to keep it separate. And then, I mean, obviously, if there's a crossover, there's crossover, but not actively trying to promote either name to readers because I kind of want to keep those readers separate from each other.
That's a good point. Michelle?
Victorine and I don't use pen names. But I will say I have one little kind of comment to add to this. And I've heard it said that it's basically impossible that you could have a pen name that no one will ever figure out it's you, right? Like the social media web is just so tangled, and Facebook knows who you are, and Amazon knows who you are, and everybody can keep their secret for only so long, because eventually it's going to be blown somewhere somehow. And so don't go into a pen name thinking that you're going to be able to keep up this cloak of secrecy forever. And this is just a warning. Like there's no foolproof way on the internet to keep a pen name completely secret forever and ever and ever. So be careful.
Awesome. I do have a short story I wrote. It's a horror story, and I actually wrote it as a social experiment. It's about a guy who writes and puts up books on Amazon, and then if someone gives him a bad review, he goes and kills them. And I want to put it up under a pen name just to see if anybody will give me a bad review on it. All right. That's my silliness for tonight. Okay, what is the best way to utilize Goodreads? Now, do we have any Goodreads fans among the four of us?
I like Goodreads.
Do you? Awesome. You can tell us how to utilize Goodreads.
I don't know if I use it a lot as an author. Mostly I use it just for myself because I started on there like back in 2010 just to keep track of my books that I was reading. And I do have a separate account because, I've heard that if you because Amazon now owns Goodreads or something like that. And so there was a lot of authors getting their reviews deleted because Amazon was, thinking they were biased because they were friends with the authors. And so when I started, I just created a completely different author profile so that I can keep my own books that I'm reading and enjoying and reviewing just kind of to myself a little bit. Although all my Facebook friends know what I'm reading, and that's fine. But I keep a secret, and really I just check my reviews because I am a masochist and I just like to know what people are saying, and I just try to skim through the ones that are bad. I'm like, whatever, they don't know what they're talking about. And but yeah, like they do have questions that you can answer for your readers, and I've had readers ask me questions, and so I interact a little bit there, but mostly it's just for myself to use. I don't really see it as a huge way to sell books, but yeah, it's kind of like the other social media things where you can interact with your fans, and then also there's groups you can join, and like there's one group all about clean romance that I will go and say when I have a sale, because they have this page just for like deals on books, and so when I do have one, then I'll put it there. But really, that's pretty much all I do on Goodreads.
Yeah, I've been on there a few times. I've found some good reviewers there, and built a couple of relationships, surprisingly enough. But the thing with Goodreads that you have to understand is that it is a very author beware kind of place. Only go there as an author if you understand all the unwritten rules of Goodreads, because I have read many things where authors have had their careers destroyed because they went in there and did things that they shouldn't do, like commenting on reviewers' reviews or arguing with them. I don't know why you would do that, but authors have. But sometimes even just commenting thank you on a positive review has brought some hailstorm down upon some authors' heads. And so you just need to understand, if you're going to go on Goodreads, that there are a lot of cultural rules on that, because it is for readers. It's not for authors to promote themselves. And so you need to stick to the places where you're invited to do so, and you need to be genuinely contributing as a reader to where you are. So just like big caution sign on that. Yeah, and then don't go read your reviews on Goodreads unless you have a tough skin or you want to toughen your skin, because Goodreads rating scale is different than Amazon for one thing. And then also, I think people are just a lot more free with their opinions and critical there. They tend to a lot of times enjoy, there's an art to leaving a stinging review, and it's like a fun thing there, I think.
Well, and because it's like a social reading site,
Yeah,
and so a lot of
right.
people will say things just to kind of get a reaction from other
Right,
people
because
sometimes.
they do interact with each other. Reviewers interact with each other so much, and so it's a conversation. It's not a stagnant review. It's a conversation. And so anyway, it can be good. I think as authors, the most thing that you need to do is just make sure your books are there. You know, add your books, get the titles up, and then proceed at your comfort level.
When I think that comes down to, were you originally using it as a personal tool? So I had really did not know really anything about Goodreads until I started publishing. And I think for me to just all of a sudden jump on and try to start contributing as an author, it would not be as genuine as, like, let's say Michelle or Judy, who have been on it for, as a reader first and then author second. So when I go on Goodreads, I don't really know how the whole site works. And so I focus in on what are the only things that you really can see as an author are your reviews. So instead of seeing the positive that Goodreads has, all I go on and see is the negative because I don't know how the site works. And I'm fairly young, but there's still things that I don't understand on social medias or any of that kind of stuff because I just never got into them. So making sure that if you are a reader for Goodreads, then do author stuff is great. If you're feeling like I don't know what Goodreads is, should I be on it? If a reader reads your book and wants to leave a review and you haven't put it up there, other people can put your book up on there. You don't have to be the one to do it. So,
Well, and Amazon automatically adds it to it once it's live
okay.
on their
Yeah.
website, so you don't even have to, like, you can claim it on
Mhm.
if you need to, but yeah, it'll already be there.
So I
Yeah,
would
so don't feel stressed if you don't know what it is or to figure out, because it can become a very black hole because all you see is that one thing, and that one thing is, "Oh, my book is only 2.5-star reviews on Goodreads. Great, that makes me feel so great," even though you go to Amazon and you have 75, 4.7 reviews. So just beware on how you do that. Like Michelle said, proceed with.
But I would say that one way you can use Goodreads is with your Scream team or something like that. People who are active on there can promote you. You can't promote yourself very easily on Goodreads, but your fans can promote you. And so encourage them to go into their groups and say, hey, I just read this awesome new book by Michelle Pennington. You guys need to check it out. And because they trust that person's recommendations and they have a relationship with them, then they'll say, oh, yeah, that sounds awesome. And they'll click because they've got that relationship established. So that's a good way. I mean, just know your people, right? Know your people in your Scream team or your fans or your connections. Know who your Goodreads people are, and say, hey, would you mind sharing my book? And that's probably one of the best ways that you can use Goodreads.
Yeah. And another thing that has gotten authors in trouble on Goodreads is giving, like, for their own personal use, I guess a lot of authors will delete all of their, like, reviews for books that were less than 3 stars just because it's kind of, they don't wanna, like, make enemies once they become authors with the other authors. And so you just wanna be careful with what you do have on there. And, like, my rule that I do now is if I, really like the book, then I will rate it and, give it a review. But if it's one that I just didn't connect with, then I will maybe just mark it as read and then just move on and not really say anything else about it because I don't want to get enemies. So,
Yes. Do not send bad vibes out into the author world. It's a
yeah.
small world.
Yeah, and we don't need any more of that going around because we already get enough. So,
Positive, happy things.
mm-hmm.
The best way to survive.
All right, perfect answers, guys. All right, this is the last one I have written down. Have you used Facebook Live to connect with your readers? And if so, how successful do you feel it's been? Any tips for using Facebook Live? I have not personally used it. Has any of you guys done that?
I never did. It scares me. Like, this is the only live thing I've ever done. So, I would, yeah, I would just get on there and like blubber around and not have anything to say. And then I'd get off and I want to go hide. So, yeah, nope, not for me.
I haven't done it, but Michelle, did you try it?
I haven't tried it because I'm never wearing makeup. So I can't like spontaneously get on Facebook Live video. So maybe I'll just be like, ooh, I've got makeup on. Let's go do this. Because it is effective. It is effective. So it's one of the things that Facebook promotes more. They deem it as more engaging. And so they do show it to more people. And people tend to really like it and interact with it better. So I would say thumbs up. Definitely try the Facebook Live thing. And I intend to do that if I ever look decent during the day instead of having my author pajamas and ponytail and no makeup look going on. So
Yeah.
Didn't Jen do it for the Regency house party though?
yeah, Jen's done it for hi Jen, if you watch the video. I know she has. She does do it for Regency house party, so is Mindy Strunk. And I think they're super cute, but they do make you feel really like so we would kind of have this moment where the authors are like, okay, I'm doing it. And then, okay, that was crazy. I'm not doing this again. And you forget what you're gonna say. So practice it, I think. But it is effective. And I think Jen's done it for a lot of her author stuff too. And where I've seen people use it, it works really well. So hey, and they use it for selling clothes and they use it for shucking pearls and trying out makeup. And I mean, that's how people are interacting on Facebook more and more often. And people love it. It's not one of the things that annoy people. And that's why Facebook Live is so effective. Because people are like, oh, someone's like putting what color eyeshadow, and then they're there, right? And so definitely try it out. Let me know how it works for you, and maybe we
Yeah, and
should try some on the Writing Gals. We should do some live videos on the Writing Gals and get our practice there with people who, won't hate us, maybe.
yeah. I have seen. I had one author friend like read the first chapter of her book when it was released. And so that's something you can do because I actually was like, ooh, I kind of want to know what happens next. So I've thought about maybe trying that someday, but still too scary. So we'll see.
I'm like, we're all doing a podcast. We're live right now. We can do this, right?
Yeah.
It is scary for me, but I see it as one of those kind of fun things. If you have time to do it, it would be a fun interaction with the people who are already your fans, but probably not a great way to sell, $7,000 worth of books in a month. So if you want to do it and have fun with some fans of yours, go ahead. But if your goal is to be, a six-figure author, then maybe put your time and effort into writing those books first. And that can be kind of like icing on the cake. So I think, do we have any other questions that anybody else has seen?
They'll ask them as soon as we get off the video.
Yeah, probably.
There are a lot of questions with social media, and I think that those of you who want to know more, just ask us on the Facebook page if you're already a part of that. We can continue to have the conversation there all the time, and we'll try and leave some of our links as well. I think we talked about putting together maybe like a document with some of our Facebook links in case people want to go and see what we're doing. and kind of get some ideas, because there's a lot of graphic things to think about as far as like headers and banners and graphics and logos and all those kinds of things that are a little bit intimidating to get set up for the first time. And so I think we're going to plan on doing that, but just keep the conversation going because we're always learning.
Perfect. In closing, I just wanted to say that in the writing world and talking about social media, there are so many voices telling you what you should try, what you should do to sell books. And what I generally do when I see somebody saying, this tripled my sales, you should do it, is I'll just go check out their books, because maybe tripled their sales means they sold 3 one day instead of 0. So I like to know if something is really working really well and they're in the top, 200 on Amazon, or if they're spending all this time doing something that's bringing them a few sales, but not the level that I want to be at. So that's just kind of my rule of thumb, is before I put any stock into what somebody says, I just kind of look and see how well overall they're doing. And if they're doing really, really well and they swear by a certain thing, then I'll put a lot more effort into trying that out for myself. But yeah, if you have any other questions. Oh, Amy, did you have one more thing to say?
Yeah, I was also going to say, you also have to realize when it comes to social media, people say, oh, look at how much I made, but they never say how much they spent. And spent could mean their time or their money and other things like that. So be wary of that as well, because they could say, it's not only doing, if someone says, "Oh, go do Facebook ads," I made 10,000 last month, but I spent 5,000 in Facebook ads, and I spent another 15 hours really learning how to hone that craft. So just be wary of when people say that. So
That's a good point too. Definitely. All right. Well, we are so glad you joined us for this talk on social media, and join us on our social media, the Writing Gals, over on Facebook, and you can join our group and ask us any questions you want.
And if
Any
you like this video,
thoughts?
subscribe.
Yes, subscribe to our channel. We're actually on the Writing Gals channel. We're just borrowing Judy's channel because we got punished. Our hands got slapped for some silly reason.
we still don't know why. They never emailed me back.
So we were being naughty, I guess. But join us over on Facebook and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for staying up.